Dance with him, Haley. Dance with the man in the corner or walk home alone. But he looks dangerous. That's the whole point. Do it or we're done with you. Haley walked across the bar floor. She smelled expensive cologne mixed with gunpowder. She saw the way men stepped back when she got too close to his booth. She asked him to dance. The glass in his hand didn't break. His eyes did. He pulled her onto his lap instead. His grip was iron around her waist. You have no idea what you just started, he whispered in her ear, his accent sharp as a blade. Maybe I do, Haley lied. Then you're mine. Humiliation or death. Those were Haley's options. The bass thundered through the Silver Lotus like a war drum. It was her 28th birthday and she was broke, exhausted, and surrounded by women who called themselves friends but counted her failures like currency. I can't, Haley whispered, her voice disappearing into the noise. Her hands gripped the sticky table edge. Please, Simone. Let's just go. Simone laughed. It wasn't the friendly sound from their college days. It was glass shattering against concrete. She leaned close, her breath reeking of vodka and malice. You don't pay for your own drinks, Haley. You don't chip in for the Uber. You don't bring anything to this friendship except problems. Simone's perfectly manicured nail pointed toward the back corner booth. So tonight, you earn your keep. You give us a show. Haley looked. She didn't want to, but she looked. The corner booth sat in shadows, but darkness couldn't hide him. He was enormous. His shoulders filled the space like he'd been carved from marble and violence. Black suit, black hair slicked back, a face that could have been handsome if it wasn't so terrifying. He sat motionless, no drink, no phone, no company. Just power. Men in expensive suits flanked the booth at a respectful distance. Everyone in the bar gave that corner a wide berth, like there was an invisible fence around him. Simone, he looks like he could kill someone, Haley stammered. Probably has. Simone smirked, her eyes glittering with cruelty. Dance with him. Get him to say yes. Prove you're not completely useless. Haley glanced at the exit. The November cold waited outside. She had $17 in her account and no way to get home except with these women. The L train had stopped running an hour ago. Stay and face humiliation or leave and freeze. She looked back at the stranger. His eyes were closed. His jaw was clenched tight enough to crack teeth. Even sitting still, he radiated danger. Tick-tock, birthday girl, Simone hissed. We're leaving in 2 minutes. With or without you. Haley stood. Her legs felt disconnected from her body. Her heart hammered against her ribs so hard she thought everyone could hear it. One step. Then another. The bar seemed to part around her. Conversations died as she passed. A bartender's hand froze mid-pour. Someone whispered in Korean, sharp and warning. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. Turn back. Run. But Haley kept walking. Her gold dress caught the neon lights, making her visible, vulnerable. She'd worn it to feel beautiful. Now it felt like a target. She stopped at the edge of his booth. Up close he was even more terrifying. Scars marked his knuckles. A thin white line traced his jaw. His hands rested on the table, perfectly still, but she could see the tension coiling through his forearms. He smelled like smoke and rain and something darker. Something that made her instincts scream. Excuse me, Haley whispered. He didn't move. Didn't breathe. His eyes stayed closed. He had to do this. She had to survive this night. Her voice cracked. Would you like to dance? The temperature dropped. Every man in a suit turned to look. The music kept pounding, but the air felt vacuum-sealed. Slowly, like a predator deciding whether to strike, Han Tae-suk opened his eyes. They were black. Completely black. And they looked at Haley like she was already his. His hand shot out. Before she could breathe, he'd grabbed her wrist and pulled her down. Not onto the dance floor. His lap. His arm locked around her waist like a steel trap. His other hand tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet those endless black eyes. You come to my table, he said softly, his voice accented and absolutely lethal, asking me to dance. You wear gold like an offering. You smell like vanilla and fear. His thumb traced her jawline. Tell me, pretty girl, did they dare you to do this? Haley's breath caught. She couldn't lie. Not to this man. Yes, she whispered. Something flickered in his expression. Amusement. Anger. Possession. And where are these friends now? Haley didn't have to look. She could feel Simone's shock radiating across the bar. Watching, Haley managed. Good. Tae-suk's grip tightened. His lips brushed her ear and every nerve in her body ignited. Let them watch what happens when you play games with wolves. Behind them, Simone stood up. Hey, we were just... 3 men in black suits materialized from nowhere. They didn't touch Simone. They didn't have to. Their presence was enough. Simone sat back down. Tae-suk's attention never left Haley. His hand slid from her waist to her hip, proprietary and deliberate. What's your name? It wasn't a request. Haley, she breathed. Haley Smith. Haley. He said it like he was tasting it. I am Han Tae-suk. And you just made a very dangerous mistake. I just wanted to dance. No. His thumb pressed against her pulse point, feeling her heart race. You wanted to prove something. To them. To yourself. You wanted to show you were brave. His smile was razor sharp. But bravery and stupidity look very similar in dim lighting. He reached into his jacket. Haley's body went rigid, but he only pulled out her phone. When had he taken her phone? And programmed something into it. You're going to leave now, Tae-suk said quietly. You're going to go home. You're going to lie awake thinking about this moment. He pressed the phone back into her shaking hand. And tomorrow, when you realize your world is falling apart, you're going to call that number. What? Why would? Because I've decided you're interesting. His eyes bored into hers. And I always keep what interests me. He released her. The absence of his touch felt like freefall. Haley stumbled to her feet. Her legs barely held her. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she couldn't move. Tae-suk leaned back, his expression unreadable. Go, Haley Smith. While I'm still letting you. She ran. Past Simone's shocked face. Past the staring crowd. Out into the November cold. Behind her, inside the Silver Lotus, Han Tae-suk picked up his phone. Find out everything about her, he said in Korean. Where she works. Where she lives. Who she loves. I want her file on my desk by morning. He smiled into the darkness. The hunt had begun. The game has only just begun. If you're ready to see how far Haley goes into the lion's den, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a chapter. Before the shadows take over, drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. 3 days. That's how long it took for Haley's life to collapse. Monday morning, her manager called her into his office wearing an expression that said he'd rather be anywhere else. We're letting you go, Haley. Effective immediately. No warning. No explanation. Just a severance check that wouldn't cover 2 weeks' rent and a security guard escorting her out like she'd committed a crime. Tuesday, her landlord knocked on her door with papers in hand and sweat on his brow. I've had some concerns brought to my attention about this unit. I'm going to need you to vacate by month's end. When she asked what concerns, he wouldn't meet her eyes. Just muttered something about property standards and hurried away like he was being watched. He probably was. Wednesday, Haley noticed the car. Black sedan with tinted windows, parked across from her building when she left for a job interview. Still there when she returned 4 hours later, rejected. A different car followed her to the grocery store. She told herself she was paranoid. She told herself it was coincidence. But when she saw the same sedan idling outside the coffee shop where she'd gone to update her resume, her hands started shaking so badly she spilled her latte. The phone felt like a bomb in her pocket. She deleted his number twice. Restored it twice. She knew what this was. She knew who was doing this. Thursday evening, broken, terrified and furious, Haley made the call. He answered on the first ring. No greeting. Just that accented voice, smooth as poison. Took you longer than I expected. You did this. Her voice shook with rage. You ruined my life. No, Haley. I removed the illusion that your life was ever yours to control. Pause. Come to the address I'm sending. We'll discuss your options. I'm not coming anywhere near you. Then keep pretending you're not already mine. See how that works out. The line went dead. Her phone buzzed. An address in the Gold Coast. The kind of neighborhood where Haley had never belonged. She should have ignored it. Should have called the police, a lawyer, anyone. But what would she say? A man programmed his number into her phone and now bad things are happening? She had no proof. No witnesses who'd testify against Han Tae-suk. She had nothing except the growing certainty that running would only make things worse. The penthouse occupied the entire 40th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Chicago's glittering skyline like the city was something to be owned. The elevator opened directly into the living space, all black marble and sharp angles and furniture that cost more than Haley's car. Taesuk stood by the windows, hands in his pockets, perfectly at ease. He traded the suit for dark slacks and a white shirt rolled to his elbows, exposing those scarred forearms. Somehow the casual look made him more dangerous. "You came." He turned, and that predatory gaze pinned her in place. "Smart girl. What do you want from me?" Haley demanded, staying by the elevator. "Exit strategy. Come in. Sit. We should be civilized about this." Civilized? Hysteria bubbled up her throat. "You destroyed my job. My apartment. You've been stalking me. I've been protecting my investment." He moved toward her with that liquid grace that made her prey instincts scream. "You walked into my world, Haley. Asked me to dance. Put yourself on my radar." He stopped close enough that she could smell his cologne. "Did you think I'd just let you walk away?" It was a stupid dare. It was a choice. And choices have consequences. His eyes traveled over her face like he was memorizing every detail. "But I'm not unreasonable. I'm offering you a deal." "I don't want your deal. You haven't heard it yet." He gestured toward the leather sofa. "Sit. Please." The please was somehow more threatening than any order. Haley sat, perching on the edge, ready to bolt. Taesuk poured 2 glasses of whiskey from a crystal decanter. He placed one in front of her and settled into the chair opposite, close enough to touch but carefully not touching. "I own several businesses in Chicago," he said. "Legitimate businesses that require legitimate faces. Smart, presentable people who can manage operations without asking too many questions." His gaze held hers. "I'm offering you a job. Manager at one of my art galleries. Excellent salary. Benefits. Apartment included." Haley's stomach dropped. "You want me to launder money. I want you to manage a gallery. What the gallery also accomplishes is not your concern. That's a crime. That's business." He sipped his whiskey. "Accept and your employment problems disappear. Your landlord remembers he made a mistake. The cars following you vanish. Your life returns to normal. Better than normal." "And if I refuse?" Something flickered in his expression. "Not anger. Worse. Disappointment. Then you'll discover exactly how much power I have in this city. How many people owe me favors. How many ways a person can be destroyed without anyone breaking the law." He leaned forward. "I can make you disappear, Haley. Not kill you. Just erase you. No job will hire you. No apartment will rent to you. Banks will freeze your accounts for suspicious activity. You'll be a ghost in your own life." The casual cruelty in his voice made her blood run cold. "Why?" Her voice cracked. "Why me? You could have anyone." For the first time, emotion crossed his face. Something hungry and possessive and almost vulnerable. "Because you didn't run," he said quietly. "Everyone runs from me, Haley. They see what I am and they scatter. But you walked right up to me. Afraid, yes. But you came anyway." His hand reached out, fingertips brushing her knee. "That kind of courage is rare. I want it close to me." The touch burned. Haley jerked away and stood, rage overriding fear. "You're insane. You're a criminal and a stalker and you think you can just own people." Her hand moved before her brain caught up. The slap cracked through the penthouse like a gunshot. Taesuk's head barely moved. His hand came up slowly, touching the red mark blooming on his cheek. Then he smiled. It was the most terrifying thing Haley had ever seen. "There she is," he murmured, standing. He towered over her but didn't advance. "The woman who walked into the lion's den. I was beginning to think fear had eaten her alive. Go to hell. Already there, sweetheart. Have been for years." His eyes gleamed in the city lights. "You have 24 hours to decide. Take my offer and step into a life most people can't even imagine. Refuse and find out what happens to people who waste my time." He pulled a key card from his pocket and held it out. "This opens the apartment 3 floors down. Fully furnished. Fully stocked. Completely secure. Stay the night. Think about your answer." "I'm leaving." Haley told herself it was temporary. A few months, maybe a year. She'd take his money, learn his operation, and find a way out when the time was right. She was an excellent liar. Even to herself. The apartment he'd given her had heated floors and a view of Navy Pier. Her protection detail consisted of 2 stone-faced men named Minjun and Daeho who drove her everywhere and watched her like she might evaporate. Surveillance disguised as safety. The Lotus Gallery sat in River North. All white walls and track lighting and paintings that cost more than most people's houses. Haley's official title was manager. Her real job was to smile at wealthy buyers, process transactions that didn't ask questions, and ignore the private appointments that happened after hours. Money laundering wrapped in culture and taste. He was good at it. Disturbingly good. One weekend everything changed. It was Thursday evening. The gallery had closed an hour ago. Haley was updating inventory records when she heard voices from the basement. Angry. One of them was Tae-suk's. She should have stayed upstairs. Should have minded her business like he told her to. But Haley had never been good at following rules. The basement stairs were concrete and cold. The voices grew louder. She reached the bottom and froze. The space had been converted into something between an office and a tomb. Concrete floors. A single bulb overhead. And in the center, a man zip-tied to a metal chair, blood streaming from his nose. Tae-suk stood in front of him, perfectly calm, rolling up his sleeves. 3 of his men flanked the walls, arms crossed, expressions blank. "I'll ask you once more," Tae-suk said in Korean, his voice conversational. "Who told Zhang about the shipment?" The man spit blood. "I don't know any Zhang." Tae-suk sighed. Then his fist drove into the man's stomach with surgical precision. The sound of impact made Haley's breath catch. The man wheezed. Gagged. Tae-suk grabbed his hair, yanking his head back. "Min-suk, we've worked together for 3 years. I've paid you well. Protected your family." His voice never rose. "So I'm disappointed you think I'm stupid enough to believe that lie." "I swear I didn't." The next punch broke something. Haley heard the crack. She should have been horrified. Should have run back upstairs, called the police, done something. Instead she stood frozen, heart racing, watching Tae-suk work with the efficiency of a surgeon removing disease. "Last chance," Tae-suk murmured. "Tell me what I need to know and I'll make this quick. Lie again and Minjun has tools that will make you beg for death." Min-suk's resolve shattered. Words poured out between sobs. Names. Locations. Bank account numbers. Sik listened. Nodded. Then he looked at his men. "Take him to the river. Make sure Zhang hears about it." That's when his eyes found Haley on the stairs. The temperature dropped. Every man in the room turned to look. Haley's survival instinct finally kicked in, but too late. "Everyone out," Tae-suk said quietly. His men dragged Min-suk away. The door at the top of the stairs closed with a final sounding thud. Silence pressed down like a physical weight. Tae-suk walked toward her slowly, blood on his knuckles, expression unreadable. Haley's back hit the concrete wall. "I told you to stay upstairs after closing," he said. "I heard voices." "So you decided to investigate?" He stopped inches away. "Curious. Reckless. Or did you want to see what I really am?" Her mouth was dry. "I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do." His hand came up, fingertips trailing her jawline. The touch was gentle. Wrong after what she'd just witnessed. "You've been watching me all week, Haley. Looking for cracks. Trying to figure out if I'm the monster or the man. You just..." Her voice broke. "That man was a traitor who put my entire organization at risk. Who endangered people under my protection." His thumb traced her lower lip. "This is my world. Violence. Loyalty bought in blood. You wanted in. Now you're in." He was right. He should be terrified. Should be sick. But standing there, trapped between him and the wall, all Haley felt was a dark electric thrill racing through her veins. Tae-suk saw it. Something hungry flashed in his eyes. "You're not afraid," he murmured almost to himself. "You're excited." "I'm not. Don't lie to me." His hand slid to her throat, not squeezing, just holding. Flaming. "Your pulse is racing. Your pupils are dilated. You came down here because you wanted to see this side of me." Haley couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the heat of his body and the blood on his hands and the terrible truth in his words. "Go upstairs," Tae-suk said finally, stepping back. "Go home. Think about what you saw. What if I tell someone? His smile was razor sharp. Who would believe you? And who would be stupid enough to testify against me? He pulled out his phone, dismissing her. Minjun will drive you home. Haley climbed the stairs on shaking legs. But she looked back once. Taesuk was watching her with those black eyes that saw too much. At midnight, her apartment buzzer rang. Haley knew who it was before checking the camera. She should have ignored it. Should have called her protection detail. She opened the door. Taesuk stood there in different clothes, the blood washed away, holding a bottle of wine that probably cost more than her old car. We need to talk, he said. It's midnight. Is that a no? It should have been. Haley stepped aside. He moved through her space like he owned it, setting the wine on the counter, pouring 2 glasses without asking. Then he settled on her couch, perfectly at home. Sit, he said. Command disguised as invitation. Haley sat in the chair across from him. Safe distance. Tell me about your family, Taesuk said. What? Your parents, siblings. Why you ended up in Chicago working paycheck to paycheck. He sipped his wine. I want to know who you are. You probably already have a file on me. I have facts. I want the story. His gaze pinned her. Tell me. So she did. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the exhaustion of pretending. But Haley told him about growing up poor, about her mother working 3 jobs, about the scholarship she lost and the dreams that died slow. Sick listened. Really listened. And when she finished, he asked questions that cut straight to the bone. You've been surviving your whole life, he said finally. Never living. Just surviving. Some of us don't get a choice. Everyone has a choice. He leaned forward. You chose to walk up to me. You chose to accept my offer. You chose to come downstairs tonight. His eyes held hers. And you're choosing not to run right now, even though every instinct says you should. Maybe I'm just stupid. No. You're hungry. For something more than scraping by. For power. For protection. He stood, moving to the window. You saw what I did tonight and you didn't flinch. Do you know how rare that is? Haley's heart hammered. I should have been horrified. But you weren't. He turned back and the raw intensity in his expression stole her breath. You felt alive. The truth hung between them like a live wire. Taesuk crossed the room. Stopped in front of her chair. Reached down and cupped her face with both hands, gentle despite the violence those hands had delivered. The gallery was supposed to be safe. Taesuk's territory. Untouchable. Haley learned how quickly safety could shatter. It was Tuesday afternoon. She was alone, cataloging a new shipment of paintings, when the front door exploded inward. 3 men. Ski masks. Guns. Get on the ground. The lead one's accent was thick. Chinese. Where's the safe? Haley's body moved on autopilot. She dropped behind the reception desk, hand closing around the crystal paperweight she'd been using to hold down invoices. Not a weapon. But it would have to do. I said get down. Footsteps approaching. Heavy boots on polished wood. Her mind raced. The panic button was under the desk. 3 feet to her left. But if she moved, they'd see her. Check the back, the leader barked. Find the girl. Zhang wants proof we were here. Zhang. The rival syndicate Taesuk had mentioned. This wasn't a robbery. It was a message. One of them rounded the desk. His gun swept the space, landing on her. There you. Haley swung the paperweight with every ounce of strength she had. It connected with his temple. The crack was sickening. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The gun clattered across the floor. Contact, someone shouted. Haley lunged for the weapon. Her fingers closed around cold metal. She'd never fired a gun in her life, but adrenaline made her brave or stupid or both. He came up shooting. The recoil nearly broke her wrist. The bullet went wide, shattering a Monet reproduction. But it bought her seconds. Enough to slam her palm against the panic button. Silent alarms screamed through Taesuk's network. The leader grabbed her arm, yanking her forward. His mask smelled like sweat and cigarettes. Stupid bitch. Zhang's going to enjoy. She drove her knee into his groin. He hulled. He twisted, broke free, ran. Made it 3 steps before another attacker tackled her. They crashed into a display pedestal. Her shoulder hit marble. Pain exploded white hot. Hold her still. The leader staggered forward, murder in his eyes. I'm gonna. The gallery windows exploded. Taesuk's men poured through in tactical formation. Gunfire erupted. The man on top of Haley jerked, blood spraying. His weight went dead. She shoved him off, gasping, covered in someone else's blood. The firefight lasted seconds. 2 attackers dead. The leader zip-tied and screaming in Korean and Chinese in pain. Then Taesuk was there. He vaulted over the ruined reception desk and dropped to his knees beside her, hands running over her body, checking for wounds. His face was carved from rage and fear. Are you hurt? His voice shook. Haley, look at me. Are you hurt? I'm okay. Her voice sounded far away. I got one of them. With the paperweight. His eyes found the unconscious man bleeding from his head wound. Then the gun in her trembling hand. Something shifted in his expression. Not horror. Not anger. Respect. Pride. Possessive hunger so intense it burned. You fought them, he breathed. You didn't hide. Didn't scream. You fought. I wasn't going to just let them. He kissed her. Hard. Desperate. His hands in her hair, tasting blood and adrenaline and something wild. Then he pulled back, jaw clenched. You're coming with me. Now. I need to clean up. My men will handle it. He hauled her to her feet, keeping her close. You're never out of my sight again. The estate sat 20 miles outside the city, surrounded by walls and cameras and men with automatic weapons. The house itself was all glass and steel, modern and cold and beautiful like everything Taesuk touched. Luxury that couldn't hide the prison underneath. Haley showered in a bathroom bigger than her old apartment, washing away blood that wasn't hers. When she emerged in borrowed clothes, Taesuk was waiting. Dinner's ready, he said. Not a request. The dining room overlooked gardens lit by subtle floodlights. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Taesuk sat across from her, barely touching his food, just watching. You can't keep me here, Haley said finally. I will. He sipped his wine. Zhang targeted you to get to me. Until I've dealt with him, you stay under my protection. This isn't protection. It's imprisonment. It's both. No apology in his voice. You belong to me now, Haley. What happened today proved that. They came for you because you're mine. I'm not anyone's. Keep telling yourself that. He leaned back. You know what I saw today? You covered in blood, holding a gun like you were born to it. You refusing to be a victim. You have violence in you. Just like me. I'm nothing like you. No. His smile was bitter. I grew up in Songbukdong, richest district in Seoul. My father was a businessman. Legitimate on paper. But the families he worked with expected loyalty bought in blood. His fingers traced the stem of his wine glass. When I was 12, I watched him beat a man to death in our living room. For being late on a payment. Haley's breath caught. My mother left. My sister pretended she didn't see. But I watched. His eyes met hers. And I learned. That power isn't given. It's taken. That mercy is weakness. That to survive in this world, you become the monster everyone fears. That doesn't make it right. Right. He laughed, sharp and ugly. There's no right in my world. Just alive or dead. Strong or prey. He stood, moving around the table. You want to judge me? Fine. But you felt that thrill today. When you smashed that man's skull. When you picked up that gun. You felt alive. That was survival. That was power. He stopped behind her chair, hands gripping the back. And you liked it. She wanted to deny it. Wanted to lie. But Taesuk would know. You're a monster, she whispered. Yes. His breath stirred her hair. But so are you. You just haven't admitted it yet. Haley stood, whirling to face him. You don't know me. I know you better than you know yourself. He stepped closer. I know you're tired of being powerless. Tired of being overlooked. You came to my table because somewhere deep down you wanted this. The danger. The darkness. Someone who sees you as more than invisible. Stop. Make me. Challenge in his voice. In his eyes. The space between them crackled like lightning about to strike. Haley moved first. Or maybe he did. It didn't matter. His mouth crashed into hers, all heat and hunger and desperation. She gasped and he consumed it, backing her against the wall, his body pinning hers. One hand tangled in her hair. The other gripped her hip hard enough to bruise. This wasn't gentle. Wasn't soft. This was claiming. Possessing. Violence and passion blurred until Haley couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. She bit his lip. He groaned. His hand slid under her shirt, fingers tracing the curve of her waist. She arched into him, every nerve ending on fire. Then he stopped. Breathing hard, forehead pressed to hers, he froze. Tae-suk. No. His voice was ragged. Not like this. Not when you're still lying to yourself about what you want. He stepped back. Ran a hand through his hair. His control was cracking, she could see it. The monster showing through the man. Your room is upstairs. Second door on the left. He wouldn't look at her. Get some sleep. You're just going to walk away? Again. If I stay, I won't stop. Finally, his eyes met hers. They were black fire. And you're not ready for what I'll demand. He left her there, breathless and furious, body aching with unfulfilled need. Haley touched her swollen lips. Tasted blood from where she'd bitten him. And hated herself for wanting him to come back and finish what he'd started. Haley lasted an hour. An hour of lying in expensive sheets, staring at the ceiling, feeling her skin burn with unfulfilled desire. An hour of telling herself to stay put, to maintain distance, to not cross the line they were both dancing around. Then she was in the hallway, barefoot on cold marble, walking toward his room like someone possessed. His door was cracked open. Lamplight spilled into the darkness. She heard him before she saw him. The clink of ice in a glass, a low exhale that sounded like frustration or pain. Haley pushed the door wider. Tae-suk stood by the window, shirt unbuttoned, tie discarded, staring out at his empire of walls and guards. He didn't turn when she entered, but his shoulders tensed. Go back to your room, Haley. No. I'm not playing games tonight. Neither am I. She closed the door behind her. Locked it. The click echoed like a gunshot. That made him turn. His eyes were molten. Dangerous. You don't know what you're asking for. Then show me. She stepped closer. You keep walking away. Keep holding back. I'm tired of it. I'm trying to protect you. I don't want protection. Another step. I want you. The glass in his hand shattered. Not dropped. Crushed. Shards fell like rain, scotch pooling on the hardwood. He didn't seem to notice the blood welling on his palm. Last chance to run, he growled. Haley closed the distance between them. I'm done running. He snapped. One moment they were apart. The next, his hands were on her, pulling her against him with bruising force. His mouth found hers, demanding, consuming. This wasn't the kiss from earlier. This was hunger unleashed. She met him with equal ferocity, nails digging into his shoulders, biting his lip hard enough to taste copper. He groaned and lifted her, her legs wrapping around his waist as he carried her to the bed. They crashed onto silk sheets. His weight pressed her down, delicious and overwhelming. His hands were everywhere, stripping away borrowed clothes, mapping her skin like he was memorizing territory to conquer. Tell me to stop, he rasped against her throat. Tell me this isn't what you want. Shut up and touch me. His laugh was dark. So demanding. Do you know what I do to people who give me orders? I'm not afraid of you. You should be. His teeth grazed her collarbone. I could destroy you. Then destroy me. Something broke in him then. The careful control shattered. What followed was intense, passionate, a battle for dominance that neither would surrender. He demanded everything. She gave nothing easily, pushing back, refusing to be conquered. When he tried to pin her wrists, she twisted free. When she tried to flip their positions, he held her down with his weight and that infuriating smirk. You think you can control me? He murmured against her skin. I think you need someone who won't break. Then don't break, sweetheart. They moved together like violence and silk, power shifting between them in waves. Every touch was a claim. Every kiss a declaration of war and surrender and something deeper neither wanted to name. When it was over, they lay tangled in ruined sheets, breathing hard, skin slick with sweat. Moonlight carved shadows across their bodies. Haley's head rested on his chest. His heartbeat thundered under her ear, gradually slowing. His fingers traced absent patterns on her spine. Everyone I've ever cared about, Tae-suk said quietly into the darkness, has been used against me. Haley went still. My sister. My first lieutenant. A woman I thought I could trust. His voice was hollow. Zhang killed my sister to prove a point. My lieutenant betrayed me for money. The woman sold information to my enemies while sharing my bed. His hand stilled on her back. I learned to keep people at a distance. To never let anyone close enough to hurt me. To be the monster who needs no one. He paused. And then you walked up to me in that bar. Haley lifted her head, meeting his eyes. You terrify me, he confessed. Because I can't stay away. Because you've slipped past every defense I've built in 20 years. Because I look at you and I want things that will get us both killed. He saw it then. The loneliness beneath the power. The man who'd built walls so high he'd imprisoned himself inside them. You're not alone anymore, Haley whispered. His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. That's what makes you dangerous. He pulled her down, kissing her slowly this time. Thoroughly. Like he was memorizing her taste before she disappeared. When they broke apart, Haley settled back against his chest. His arms wrapped around her, holding her close. Protective. For the first time since walking into his world, she felt safe. They drifted like that, somewhere between sleep and waking, until pre-dawn light touched the windows. Then his phone screamed. Tae-suk was up instantly, every muscle tense, reaching for the device on his nightstand. What? Haley couldn't hear the other side, but she watched his expression harden into something lethal. When? Pause. How many? Another pause. Lock down everything. I'm on my way. He ended the call. Started dressing with military efficiency. What happened? Haley asked, pulling the sheet around her. Breach at one of my warehouses. 3 of my men dead. Security footage shows Wei Zhang's crew. He shrugged into his shoulder holster. This was planned. Timed. Tae-suk. He stopped. Looked at her. For a moment something vulnerable crossed his face. Then it was gone, replaced by the monster. Stay here. Don't leave the estate. Don't trust anyone except Daeho. He crossed to the bed, gripping her chin. Promise me. I promise. He kissed her. Hard. Desperate. Like he wasn't sure he'd come back. Then he was gone, the door slamming, his footsteps echoing down the hall. Haley sat alone in his bed, wrapped in sheets that smelled like him, and felt cold dread settle in her bones. This was retaliation for the gallery. For her. And somewhere in the Chicago dawn, men were dying because she dared to dance with the devil. Haley found the burner phone by accident. She'd been in Tae-suk's office, looking for something to wear since all her clothes were at the apartment. The estate had security everywhere, but his private space felt safe. Sacred. The phone fell from behind a bookshelf when she bumped it, reaching for a sweater. It clattered to the floor, screen lighting up with a text notification. Package ready for delivery. Zhang confirms payment. Tonight. Her blood ran cold. Someone in Tae-suk's organization was communicating with Zhang. Someone with access to this office. Haley grabbed the phone, heart racing. She needed to call Tae-suk. Warn him. Looking for something? She spun. Minho stood in the doorway, arms crossed, expression pleasant. He was Tae-suk's third in command. Always polite. Always efficient. Always watching. I found this phone, Haley said carefully. Behind the books. I think someone. Someone what? Minho stepped inside, closing the door. Someone's betraying him? The lock clicked. Haley's hand tightened on the phone. Minho, we need to. That's my phone. He moved closer, calm as death. I've been careless. Tae-suk always said my weakness was arrogance. Oh God. You're the traitor. Traitor is such an ugly word. He pulled a gun from his waistband, silencer attached. I prefer entrepreneur. Zhang's offering me my own territory. Real power. Not scraps from Tae-suk's table. Haley backed toward the desk. He trusted you. He trusted everyone too much. Got soft. Minho's eyes raked over her. Especially after you showed up. The great Han Tae-suk, brought low by some broke American girl who doesn't know when to quit. Tae-suk will kill you for this. Not if Zhang kills him first. Minho smiled. You're the bait, Haley. The weakness he'll die trying to protect. She lunged for the panic button under the desk. Minho was faster. He grabbed her wrist, twisting viciously. The phone clattered away. Pain shot up her arm. Nice try. He slammed her against the wall, gun pressed under her chin. Zhang wants you alive. But he didn't say unharmed. Haley drove her knee up. Minho twisted, taking the blow on his thigh. His grip loosened for a second. She shoved him back, grabbed the nearest weapon, a glass paperweight, and swung. He caught her arm. The paperweight smashed into his shoulder instead of his head. He cursed in Korean, backhanded her across the face. Haley's head snapped sideways. Stars exploded. She tasted blood. Minho dragged her toward the door. Should have stayed in your room. Should have been smart. Screw you. He laughed. Taesuk likes them feisty. Let's see if Zhang does too. Haley fought every step. Poing. Biting. Screaming. But Minho was trained, stronger, and the estate was big enough that her screams disappeared into expensive emptiness. He dragged her through a service exit she didn't know existed. Outside, a van waited, engine running. Sleep tight, princess. The needle bit into her neck. Chemical burns spreading through her veins. Haley tried to stay conscious. Tried to fight. Darkness swallowed her whole. She woke to the smell of rust and mildew. Her head throbbed. Her wrists burned. Rope cut into her skin, binding her to a metal chair. The room was concrete and shadows, a single bulb swaying overhead. A warehouse. Abandoned. The kind of place bodies disappeared. Men moved in the darkness. Speaking Chinese. Laughing. Then footsteps. Deliberate. Unhurried. Wei Zhang stepped into the light. He was younger than she expected. Mid-30s, expensive suit, cruel eyes. He looked like a businessman. Talked like death. Miss Smith. His English was perfect. I've heard so much about you. Haley said nothing. Forced herself to breathe. Han Taesuk is a difficult man to hurt. He has no family left. No close friends. He built walls so high no one could reach him. Zhang crouched in front of her, smiling. And then you walked up to him in a bar. He'll come for me. I'm counting on it. Zhang stood, nodding to someone in the shadows. Set up the camera. High quality. I want him to see every detail. Horror crawled down Haley's spine. A tripod appeared. Professional lighting. A laptop opened, screen glowing. Zhang adjusted his tie in the camera frame. We're going to send your boyfriend a little message. Show him what happens when he refuses to negotiate. When he thinks he's untouchable. You're making a mistake. Haley's voice shook but held. You don't know what he'll do. I know exactly what he'll do. He'll come rushing in, emotional, reckless. And we'll be waiting. Zhang's smile widened. His organization will crumble without him. His territory will be mine. All because of you. One of Zhang's men adjusted the camera, aiming it directly at Haley. The red light blinked on. Life. Perfect. Zhang moved behind her chair, one hand on her shoulder. Threatening. Hello, Taesuk. I have something that belongs to you. His fingers tightened, digging into her collarbone. Haley lifted her chin, staring directly into the camera. Into Taesuk's eyes wherever he was. Don't come, she thought desperately. It's a trap. Don't. Zhang's knife appeared at her throat. Not cutting. Just promising. Let's see how much you're worth to him, Zhang murmured, his breath cold against her ear. Let's see if the great Han Taesuk bleeds for anyone. The livestream kept recording. And somewhere in Chicago, Haley knew Taesuk was watching his world burn. The notification came through while Taesuk was interrogating the warehouse survivor. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Video link. He opened it. The world stopped. Haley. Bound to a chair. Blood on her face. Zhang behind her with a knife. His vision went red. Then white. Then cold. Everyone out, Taesuk said quietly. His men knew that tone. They scattered. He watched the livestream. Every second. Every breath Haley took. The way she held her chin up despite the terror in her eyes. The way Zhang touched her like she was already dead. When it ended, Taesuk made 3 calls. First, mobilize everyone. I want every man we have armed and ready in 20 minutes. Second, call in the debt from the Yakuza. Tell them it's time. Third, find that signal. I don't care what it takes. Find her now. His organization moved like a machine. Within 15 minutes, his tech team had triangulated the livestream to a 3-block radius in South Chicago. Within 20, satellite surveillance identified the warehouse. Tae-suk stood in his armory, strapping on body armor, loading weapons with mechanical precision. Dae-ho appeared in the doorway. Sir, it's obviously a trap. Zhang wants you to come in angry. Then he'll get what he wants. We should plan. Tae-suk's hand shot out, grabbing Dae-ho by the throat, slamming him against the wall. She is in there because of me. Because I was careless. Because I let her in. His voice was deadly calm. So yes, I'm walking into his trap. And I'm burning it down around him. He released Dae-ho. Get the men ready. We leave in 5. In the warehouse, Haley was counting. Zhang had 15 men visible. Maybe more in the shadows. Automatic weapons. Professional formation. And she had a sharp edge on her chair where the metal had rusted through. She'd been working at her bindings for 10 minutes, subtle movements hidden by shifting her weight. The rope was fraying. Foley. She just needed time. Tell me about him, Haley said suddenly. Zhang looked over from where he was cleaning his gun. What? Tae-suk. You've gone to a lot of trouble. There must be history. Zhang smiled. He killed my brother. 3 years ago. Over territory that should have been negotiated. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're stalling. But he kept talking anyway, ego demanding an audience. Your boyfriend thinks he's untouchable. King of Chicago's underworld. But he's reckless. Emotional. This proves it. The rope gave slightly. Haley kept her expression neutral. What happens when he gets here? She asked. He walks into a coordinated strike. My men inside. Dirty cops outside. CPD will arrive right as the shooting starts. Arrest whoever's left standing. Tae-suk goes down for killing police officers and his empire collapses. Haley's blood ran cold. You've set him up. Perfectly. Zhang checked his watch. He should be here any minute. Probably armed to the teeth, thinking he'll save you. Idiot. That's when Haley felt the rope snap. Her hands were free. She kept them behind her back, heart hammering. Waited for her moment. Zhang's phone rang. He answered in Chinese, expression shifting. What do you mean you can't reach? Gunfire exploded outside. Not scattered shots. A coordinated assault. Automatic weapons, tactical precision, the sound of a small war erupting. Zhang's men rushed to the windows. Shouting. Returning fire. It's Tae-suk, someone screamed. He brought everyone. More gunfire. Closer now. The warehouse doors shuddered under impact. Zhang grabbed Haley, knife to her throat. Nobody moves or she dies. The door exploded inward. Smoke grenades. Flashbangs. The warehouse became chaos. Through the confusion, Haley heard a voice. Unmistakable. Anyone touching her dies first. He moved through the smoke like death incarnate, flanked by 20 men in tactical gear. His gun was up, eyes scanning. When they landed on Haley, something blazed. Relief. Rage. Murder. Let her go, Zhang, Tae-suk said quietly. And I'll kill you quick. You're surrounded. Zhang pressed the knife harder. Haley felt it bite. I have cops coming. You're finished. You're cops. Tae-suk smiled. It was terrifying. I bought them an hour ago. Paid triple what you offered. They're arresting your men outside right now. Zhang's face went white. You forgot something, Tae-suk continued, advancing. I didn't build my empire by being reckless. I built it by being 3 steps ahead. By making sure anyone who threatens what's mine dies screaming. Haley felt Zhang's hand shake. She dropped her weight, twisted, drove her elbow into his ribs. The knife sliced her shoulder. Pain bloomed hot. But she was free. Tae-suk's gun barked twice. Zhang staggered back, red blooming on his chest. Then Tae-suk was there, pulling Haley against him, his hand over her bleeding shoulder. I've got you, he breathed. I've got you. Around them, the firefight continued. Zhang's men were being cut down or surrendering. But Haley only heard Tae-suk's heartbeat. Only felt his arms like steel. Told you, she gasped. I'm worth something. His laugh was broken. You're worth everything. Then Zhang moved. Last desperate attempt. Gun rising toward Haley. Tae-suk shifted, putting himself between them. The shot rang out. Everything stopped. The bullet caught Tae-suk's vest. Kevlar absorbed the impact, but the force drove him back. He didn't fall. Didn't hesitate. His gun came up. 3 shots. Center mass. Zhang dropped. Then the warehouse exploded into hell. Zhang's remaining men opened fire from every angle. Muzzle flashes lit the darkness like strobe lights. Concrete chips rained down. Someone screamed. Taesuk grabbed Haley, dragging her behind a steel support beam. Stay down. But she saw his face. Saw the monster fully unleashed. His eyes were black fire. His movements precise. He moved through the chaos like he was born for it, each shot finding flesh, each decision made in microseconds. This wasn't the man who held her gently in silk sheets. This was the king of the underworld, and his kingdom was violence. A guard rushed their position. Taesuk broke his arm, took his weapon, and used him as a shield before dropping him with a bullet to the skull. Haley should have been horrified. She wasn't. Across the warehouse, through smoke and carnage, their eyes met. He was covered in blood. Face hard. Waiting for her to flinch. To see him as the monster and run. Haley didn't look away. She saw him. All of him. And she stayed. Something shifted in his expression. Recognition. Acceptance. Can you fight? He called over the gunfire. Haley grabbed a fallen guard's pistol. Try me. His smile was feral. Stay close. They moved together. Taesuk leading, Haley covering their flank. She fired twice, both shots finding their targets. Muscle memory from the gallery attack kicking in. She'd crossed a line. She knew it. Felt it in the recoil, the weight of taking a life. But she didn't stop. They fought through Zhang's remaining forces, leaving bodies in their wake. Taesuk's men secured the perimeter. The firefight was ending. Then Zhang's voice crackled over speakers Haley hadn't noticed. You think you've won? He was laughing. Dying but laughing. Look around. Look at the walls. Haley's blood turned to ice. Red lights. Dozens of them. Blinking in rhythm. Explosives. This entire warehouse is rigged, Zhang coughed. Dead man's switch. When my heart stops, we all die. Taesuk's jaw clenched. Everyone out. Now. His men scattered, dragging wounded toward the exits. But Haley remembered something. During her captivity, before the live stream started, one of Zhang's men had set something on a table near her chair. A device with buttons and blinking lights. The detonator. Wait. She ran toward where she'd been bound, ignoring Taesuk's shout. There. On the floor, kicked aside in the chaos. She grabbed it. The screen showed a countdown. 2 minutes. Haley, what are you? She smashed it against the concrete. Once. Twice. The screen cracked, went dark. The red lights stopped blinking. Silence. Then Zhang's scream of rage from somewhere in the shadows. You little. He appeared, stumbling, clutching his bleeding chest. Gun in his shaking hand, aimed at Haley. Taesuk moved to intercept, but he was too far. Time crystallized. Haley saw it all in slow motion. Zhang's finger on the trigger. Taesuk running toward her. Her own gun still in her hand. And a choice. The final choice. Walk away and let Taesuk handle this. Keep her hands clean. Pretend she was still the woman who'd walked into that bar weeks ago. Or accept what she'd become. What she'd chosen. The darkness she'd stepped into willingly. Taesuk reached her side. His hand on her shoulder. Go, he said quietly. Wait outside. You don't need to see this. Zhang's gun steadied, aiming. Let me do this, Taesuk continued. Let me be the monster so you don't have to be. Haley looked at him. At this man who'd destroyed her life and rebuilt it. Who'd shown her power and protection and a dark love that terrified her. Who was willing to shoulder every sin so she could stay innocent. She looked at Zhang. At the man who'd kidnapped her, threatened her, tried to kill the only person who'd ever seen her as more than invisible. No, Haley said. She raised her gun. Taesuk's eyes widened. Haley. I'm not running anymore. Her voice was steady. I'm not pretending I don't belong here. I'm not letting you carry this alone. Zhang's gun swung toward her. Haley fired first. The shot echoed. Final. Absolute. Zhang staggered. Fell. His gun clattered away. He lay there, blood pooling, staring at her in shock. Haley stood over him, gun still raised, and felt nothing. No guilt. No horror. Just certainty. That's for threatening what's mine, she said quietly. Zhang's eyes went vacant. Silence filled the warehouse. Smoke drifted. Bodies cooled. Taesuk stared at her. At the gun in her hand. At the woman who just killed for him. Haley. His voice cracked. What have I done to you? She turned. Met his gaze. You showed me who I really am. She dropped the gun. Walked into his arms. He caught her holding tight, face buried in her hair. She felt him shaking. There's no going back, he whispered. Not after this. I know. She pulled back, cupping his face. His beautiful, terrible face. I don't want to go back. His kiss tasted like smoke and blood and promises too dark to speak. Around them, the warehouse burned with evidence and bodies and the last of Haley's innocence. But in Taesuk's arms, covered in violence, she'd never felt more alive. Or more damned. Outside, sirens wailed. His men secured the perimeter. The night swallowed their sins. And Haley walked out of that warehouse hand in hand with the devil, knowing she'd just become the monster's queen. The warehouse was a hollowed-out ribcage of steel, the stench of cordite and copper lingering like a curse. In the week following Zhang's fall, the city's power grid had shifted. The corrupt officials who once shielded the syndicate were now ghosts or prisoners, and Taesuk stood alone at the summit. But as the smoke cleared, the silence between them grew heavy. In the dimly lit sanctuary of his penthouse, Taesuk stood by the floor-to-ceiling glass, his reflection a silhouette of scars and tailored silk. He turned to Haley holding a thick envelope and a passport. Everything you need is inside, he said, his voice gravelly, stripped of its usual iron. A new name. A clean life in Zurich. You can leave the blood behind, Haley. I won't let the darkness touch you again. Haley looked at the passport, then at the man who had redefined the meaning of survival for her. The woman who had trembled at a dare in a dive bar was dead, buried under the floorboards of that warehouse. She didn't want a clean life, she wanted the life that made her feel the fire in her veins. You think I'm still that girl? She asked, stepping into his space until her chest brushed his. She took the envelope and dropped it into the fireplace, watching the paper curl into ash. I didn't kill for your protection, Taesuk. I killed for us. I'm not going anywhere. Hours later, the heavy oak doors of the syndicate's council chamber swung open. The room was filled with the most dangerous men in the underworld, their eyes sharp with predatory intent. Haley walked at Taesuk's side, her presence a silent thunderclap. She wore a dress of midnight silk that fit like armor, and around her throat, a diamond choker caught the light, a glittering collar that signaled her ascent. She didn't sit behind him, she sat beside him. The bosses exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. This wasn't a mistress, this was a sovereign. Under the table, out of sight of the killers who watched them with newfound fear, Taesuk's hand found hers. His thumb traced the rapid, steady thrum of her pulse point, a private anchor in a sea of sharks. Haley squeezed back, her grip unwavering. She had chosen the crown of thorns, and as the meeting began she realized the true danger wasn't the men in the room. It was the ghost of someone from Taesuk's past standing in the doorway. Haley has traded her innocence for a crown of thorns, but the past is never truly buried. If you're captivated by her dark ascent, make sure to like and subscribe to witness the fallout. I want to hear your theories on the ghost at the door. And don't forget to tell me where you're watching from as the underworld rises.